Two Wheels this week, we travel to Daytona for a chat with Carl Fogarty. Jeff continues his biking holiday in the south of France. There's more tech talk, and Wayne's Warehouse looks at exhausts. Gary Thomson continues his rebuild, and Sara Dee visits another bike meet.
You mention touring, you think BMW, you think RT. And it's like that because the designation RT has been around for years. But then again, time doesn't stand still, and it especially doesn't stand still at BMWs. And that certainly applies to this because this is their brand new RT, the R1150RT. The first thing you notice are the looks. It's got a new redesigned fairing, it's sleeker, it's lower, it's, dare I say it, a sportier look. And this gives a hint of things to come. It's a tourer, but not a borer. You sit up, you sit relaxed, you sit in comfort. You get things like this, their height adjustable screen. Now you might think you've seen this on Yamahas, but to be fair to BMW, they had it first. There we go. Same principle, cranked well up for if the weather's really bad, down if you're touring in hot weather and you want a bit of fresh air blast. And it really does work very, very well, very smooth as well. You've also got in here a nice classically styled dashboard. Very analogue speedo there and a rev counter on the right. I'd like bigger digits around there, but that's probably my age. The old eyesight's going a little bit. Over on this side, you've got what has now become standard with BMW, their own digital display there. You get fuel, engine temperature, you get a gear indicator in the middle, which is very, very neat. There it goes. And also you've got the clock down there, so all that's very neat. You've also got this big knob here, which actually adjusts the headlight level, which is very useful if you're carrying a pillion passenger or you've got a lot of extra weight in the old panniers. So that's really useful. Some other people could take note of that one. Down here, you've got some warm air ducts, and they actually take warm air from the oil cooler, direct them up these flutes here, and so in the winter, you get a nice blast of warm air. Not so keen on that in the summer, but nevertheless, that's what it's doing. What else have we got? Up here, you've got fog lights. So not only have you got a brand new headlight assembly up the front, you've got fog lights that you switch on either side of the headlight. Makes a very nice display up the front there and certainly gives a hell of a lot of illumination. No one's going to miss you with those on. Down here you've got some very nice mirrors. Now I like these. At first, if you're used to mirrors being up above the bars, they can seem a bit odd. You've got to get used to where they are. But what you do see in them is the tips of the rear panniers, and that's useful if you're filtering between traffic, which we all do. It's nice to see in the mirror what sort of gap you've got left. Saves you leaving your panniers behind. Now, no BMW test ever passes without someone making comment about their switchgear. And the thing is, it's very odd if you're used to an ordinary Japanese bike, or in fact any other bike, because BMW choose to be completely different. If you're going right, you press this paddle here. If you're going left, you press this paddle here. But to cancel either of them, you have to press that one in the middle. If you press the one on the other side, that's the horn, and so you don't want to do that. But it does take some tuning into, brain-wise. Equally, the starter button, that's on the top, and you almost need a disjointed thumb to hit the old starter button. As I say, you do get used to it, but it's a little bit odd. And considering the cars they make, they don't put a left and right indicator stalk on the steering column, do they? So I don't really know why they persevere with this. Anyway, you'll also notice over on this side, volume. So what's that for? That's for the radio, of course, because it's got a radio cassette, this one has. That's an option, it costs you 538 quid, and that's buried in this little cubby hole down there. Radio cassette, there's the volume, tuning, and press to mute. All very neat. But just because it's got a few mod cons, it doesn't mean it's boring. Far from it. The engine's up 50cc, and also up at the power and the torque. It's gained an extra gear too, with the 6th gear acting as an economical overdrive, and they've also improved the gear change with a redesigned clutch. So now it's a case of fewer clunks, more clicks. The power comes on strong and smooth and will take you close on 130 if you want, but more important is the way that it does it. Now first off, just listen to this. Hear that? That's because it's actually got a brake servo, little electric motors running a servo. So just like a car which uses a vacuum system to put the brakes on, this has got the electric servo motors. They pump up the electric pressure, and it really means these front brakes are genuinely a two-finger job. And what they've done, they've increased the actual braking ability by 20% just by adding that servo. It's got link brakes too. Front and rear brake, pull the front brake lever or put the rear brake lever on, operates both sets of brakes at the same time. It's got ABS as well. Here you can see the sensing ring round here and a little pickup there. So within 80 milliseconds, this will sense that the front wheel or the rear wheel is locking up, and then it knocks off the hydraulics for a fraction of a second and then back on again. And that's how you get the ABS refuses to lock up the wheels. Very, very clever stuff, incredibly powerful. And in fact, the back brake in particular, very, very sharp. If you put the back brake on too firmly, you can actually lift the rear end of the bike up. So you can do a stoppie with the rear brake, which is a bit of a novelty. Altogether then, the R1150RT is a pretty impressive high-tech piece of kit, and it's a worthy successor to a long line of RTs. It comes in red, blue, silver and aqua metallic, and will set you back £9,545 on the road, and that includes the panniers. That's £350 cheaper than an FJR 13, and that's without its panniers. Add some optional heated grips, the stereo radio cassette, an intercom and a top box, and there you have it, an RT for two.
Birds of a feather flock together, and no better place to flock to than the Falcon. And I am so pleased I said that right. We're in Warwickshire, we're on the A4177, and it's Wednesday night, which means here you're going to find bikes big, small, young and old. And that goes for the owners too. Now it's absolutely packed round the back, so why don't you swoop round there and go and take a look?
I'm here every week. I mean, it's a great meet, great people. It's well organised. The pub actually wants us. I mean, we get so much animosity throughout the country with people not wanting bikers and bike meetings. It's actually really nice. Nice road, lovely countryside, great drive, and the people excellently organised, which is actually what we deserve as motorcyclists.
It's the camaraderie, isn't it, once
Damn
you're
right.
here? Brilliant. How far did you have to drive to get here?
I've come about 25 miles.
Yeah, it's worth the drive.
Oh, it takes me about 150 to get home there.
What sort of bike have you got then? What have you come on tonight?
I've got a CBR 1000, I've also got a TL1000R and a couple of little Husqvarnas.
Oh really? Gosh, so you're a real enthusiast there.
I've been riding since I was 6.
You're not the one with the CBR with all the porn stickers on it, eh?
Without doubt.
Is that you?
God, I only dream. And if I'd known you'd be here, I'd have done my hair tonight.
So you did this rebuild job?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't buy it new then?
No, I worked at BSA when it was made.
Really?
I did an apprenticeship at BSA, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's your background?
Yeah.
You're building bikes?
Well, all sorts of things, yeah. My father had a motorcycle shop before me. I've got one now. I'm based in Tamworth doing MOT tests and all sorts. But
have you got other bikes other than this Beezer in your garage then?
yeah, there's several other Beezers.
I thought maybe, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, come every week. Yeah.
You come every week here?
Oh, sure do. Yeah, it's good. It's a good atmosphere, and there's never any hassle or anything. So, no, and they're a good crowd that come up. So, you know, nice selection of bikes. So you come up here to pick what bike you're having next. You see, that's what the idea is.
Ah, that's very clever.
Oh yes.
I've seen a few on sale actually. Are you interested? Have you seen them yet?
Oh, they do that. Sometimes it's the pillions they're selling as well, though, and it's only the bike I'm interested in.
You'll never guess what they've got me doing now. If it's not getting the drinks in, it's cooking the food. See you later.
If you were watching Two Wheels last week, you'll remember that Jeff was in the south of France. Time to rejoin him now, and the organiser of Great Escape Tours, Ollie Duke.
Now, Ollie, we've been out today and you've shown me some fantastic roads. It's been a bit too hot for my liking, but nevertheless fantastic. So what's going on this evening? What are we doing here?
Well, this is the lead up to Bastille Day, which is tomorrow. And when people come out on our tours, we like to show them a bit of France, a bit of real life out here, mainly the festivals, which are fantastic. And tonight is the beginning of this weekend's festivities.
Yeah, and so it's not unusual. This one might be unique for this one, but there's always something going on in France, isn't there?
Yes, throughout the summer there are festivals and music festivals and town festivals, all sorts going on throughout the summer. And they go on in all these villages, and really we just hope to see as many as we can, take people to as many as we can.
So you're also trying to educate these bikers then, are you? It's not just a biking, not a holiday. Say, right, you've had your biking fun, now we're going to educate you, let's take you over to Europe, you know, get you into French ways, is it?
I don't want to be patronising, so I wouldn't say educate. But no, we want to show people a bit of France and a bit of French life, and this is part of French life in the summer, and it's absolutely superb. We want people to come out here, not just ride bikes, but to enjoy themselves and see something of a different culture.
You know, it's quite a treat to have 14 bikes to choose from, but not when you're spoilt for choice. Still, in the interest of you all, I grabbed 7 bikes and set off for the hills. First, the 996 Ducati. Why? Well, simply because I feel at home on one. A big punchy motor, rock solid handling and that beautiful sound. Put it on some wonderfully smooth road and life is indeed sweet. Then to the pretty one, the MV Agusta. Alright, it looks fantastic, it handles well, it stops well, but the engine needs some real stirring to keep it on the boil. Having said that, it sounds so nice that it's not much of a hardship. The S4 Monster, 916 power in a monster package can't be bad, and it's not. The whole bike feels nicely balanced and well sorted, and for chucking about on these roads, it's hard to beat. What can you say about Harleys that hasn't been said before? But I'll tell you what, laid back has its attractions, and in this environment it makes a lot of sense. Take it easy, take in the views, why hurry? The Aprilia Mille R. What an absolutely stonking bike. Aprilia have produced a fantastic bike that in the handling stakes at least nudges out Ducati. Engine choice they're about equal, but who cares, on these roads you're the winner. The top sports bike of the moment, the GSX R1000. What a revelation. Fantastic performance but so easy to manage. Not at all edgy, it's light and comfortable, and it's truly amazing. The big Butch Phaser Thou, Martin's favourite bike for escorting tours, and of course pulling the odd stunt. No stunts for me, but what an easy and comfortable bike to ride. Sit up and enjoy the ride.
And there'll be more from Jeff in the south of France later in the show.
My name's Ron Dixon. I'm this week's Advanced Rider giving you a major tip on counter steering. Counter steering, nice and slow, nice and smooth. What I'm going to approach to do now is put a little bit of pressure on my left hand side towards the right. Unbelievably, the bike will lean to the left. That's a left hand bend. Okay, now I'm going to do the opposite thing on the right hand side, a little bit of pressure on the right hand side, going towards the left to counter steer on the right, just by that little bit of lean. One more time. I'll do it a bit quicker this time. Okay, one more time. Straight, nice and easy, nice and safe. Just basically demonstrating. Okay, here we go. Little bit of speed. Okay, nice push on the left hand side. There's one counter steer. Okay, nice push, bit of pressure on the right hand side going towards the left. That's your counter steer there. Incredible view, isn't it?
That is cool. Big bike racing in America, you impressed by it?
Yeah, it's thrown out some big riders over the years for sure. Some big names, you know, Robertses and all sorts, Scott Russells and Kaczynskis and Rainey's and Swans. So it's definitely been a good breeding ground for the last sort of 20 years, you know, pumping out riders that are capable of winning world championships and have done. So it is a tough championship, but they're all tough domestic ones. I wouldn't know which one's the toughest unless you did them all, really. Even then, you still wouldn't know, I guess. At the moment, they've got one or two good riders. They've had a lean spell for a while, really, but now they've got Colin, who's going well in World Superbikes. It took him 5 years to finally get on the pace and win the championship. And he won that because Ira got injured. Had to get that one in, didn't we?
You got it in.
We got it in.
We'll edit it out.
Thanks.
When you were winning, I mean, you are still the all-time record holder for the amount of World Superbike wins. When you were winning everything that was going on all around you, did you look at the domestic championships from different countries to see where the talent might be coming from for the next year?
A little bit, not a lot, to be honest. It's always been 3 domestic championships really that have, put riders out into World Superbike, and that's been Britain, America, and Japan, Australia a little bit. But now that's a championship that's really lost a lot of credibility. I think it's not a very competitive championship at all. So America's still one of the toughest ones. I think you've got 1 or 2 names that are here at the moment that you're sort of listening out for and looking out for. I think one of them is Nicky Hayden, people like him. So yeah, this country as well as ours and Japan is capable of throwing riders into the World Championships who can go on to win world titles for sure.
Oh, hello. Here is the Two Wheels news. Did you know that there's actually more exhaust bought as a bolt-on accessory than any other form of accessory? Tell me something I didn't know, for goodness sake. So we might as well talk about exhausts. The truth being is there are loads of different types, because of course there's loads of different types of motorcycles. If we said to you out there that, what exhaust do you fancy for your bike? You're probably thinking, if you're a super bike owner, I already know. Because you probably bought one, you probably already got it on your bike. What about the other guys out there? What about the chappie who goes to work on his commuter machine and he's got a hole in his exhaust because it's several years old, 4 or 5 years old, and it's rotted away? He wants to buy an exhaust. Well, the truth is you can buy a fairly standard system. You can buy a lookalike, an original lookalike, and down here amongst my little bundle of bits we've got that. Take that for example. That is a traditional silencer for something like a Honda CB200. And something like that costs you around £50. So you can buy basic, simple, original equipment exhausts. What about if you've got a scooter and you want to go a little bit quicker and look a little posier? Well, obviously you can buy an exhaust for that. Let's have a little look what we got here. Oh, would you believe it? We've got just the thing. One of those, a nice fancy Italian thing. That goes on a scooter. What if you've got an original scooter like the old Honda C90s or a V70 or something Yamaha, and you just scootle to the shops on that and you want to keep it in original equipment? Well, you can, because you can buy one like that, original equipment type, all sorts available. What if you've got a fancy performance 2-stroke? Well, you're not neglected, you know, although there are few available, because obviously there are less performance 2-stroke machines around. But take things like the RS125 Aprilia, for example. Anybody who's got one of them will fancy putting a performance exhaust on it. Well, let's just have a little look. Oh, look at that. Amongst my menagerie of exhausts, we've got one. A work of art. It's beautiful. You might think it's ugly because it's not been painted, but that's the trend, because the racers leave them like that. They don't paint them. They have them like that, welded up and then lacquered over the top, and on the end of it they stick one of those, which is the end can. That is a link to the next bit, the end can, because if you are a performance bike rider, a 4-stroke machine across the 4 cylinders or a V-twin or something like that, you will probably want to put on a performance end can, something like one of those. Fancy colours. Ooh, missus, it's quite a big one, isn't it? You can have them anodised like that, in gold, purple, blue, whatever you fancy. You can have them in multicolours as they go down. You can have them in carbon fibre. Oh, I think I've got one here, look at that. A carbon fibre style one. A bit different this, because it's an oval shape and it's got 2 little noses, little trumpets on the end. Pretty sexy, pretty funky, pretty heavy to be honest with you. And that's one of the reasons why you might want to buy a performance exhaust can. Weight. And if you really want to keep the weight right down, the thing to buy is the lightest of them all, and which is your either titanium or your carbon can. Now I think somewhere amongst my bundle of bits and pieces I've got, I won't believe it, would you believe it? Nothing sacred, someone's nicked my carbon can. Excuse, is any, tell you what, you have to bolt everything down nowadays, don't you? Excuse me, I'll have to go. Plus the fact that I need a brew, because it is exhausting work this, you know. Terrible awful. I'm Go and see if I can find that exhaust can. God, you can't leave anything around nowadays, it's ridiculous.
Time now to rejoin Jeff in the south of France, where he asks Martin Child why they chose these 14 particular bikes for their Great Escape tours.
Well, we had about 10 people looking at which bikes we should have down here, from myself and Ollie to people outside the trade. And it was a process of elimination. We narrowed them down, and we didn't want bikes because they were cheap or whatever. We just wanted to get the cream of current bikes, and I believe we got that. I think, I mean, if I just had to have one bike, if the world was opening up and there's a big hole, I think I'd be riding off on a GS-R1000, and it's superb.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's comfortable, it goes fast.
And look, this is very much a sort of a summer thing. Have you got an actual season when you're doing these?
Well, what the plan is that we'll power down the road fleet for the winter, because the winters here are so mild that most of the time it's dry and warm enough to ride. It's not like at home. And what we'll do is we'll complement that with some off-road bikes. Right. So we'll get a handful of like 4-stroke off-roaders, which if you look at the scenery around here, it's just a paradise. As good as it is on the road here, there's 10 times as much off-road. But the good thing here is because it's not actually all mud hills, they're all sand hills. Even if it is a bit wet, you won't get filthy muddy like you do at home. And it's a very enjoyable day off-road here. You get 300 days of sunshine a year here, which doesn't leave a lot of days for it to be miserable.
So whichever way, your tours, it's a sort of it's a year-round.
It's an annual,
just changing the bikes. Excellent. I'll have to come back for another dose.
Well, come back down.
My God, it's getting really busy here now, and the manager, Chris, is trying to sort out making sure all the bikers go in the right places. It's getting so full. I'll try and grab Chris. Can we have a quick word? You're not too busy? Is this busy for you?
It's not too bad, no, it's alright.
Yeah? Yeah? You think you're going to have enough room for all these bikes?
Oh, we'll always make more room for them.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Never turn the bike away, just the cars.
Just the cars? Yeah. Okay, thanks Chris. Very busy. I'm going to get run over. I think I better move out of the way. No, I love the leather gear. It's matching leather gear, isn't it? More or less? Very nearly. What sort of bike have you got?
I've got a VFR 400, which is a Honda.
Right, yes. Have you got any other bikes, or do you just keep the one bike at a time?
Just that one at the moment.
Yeah? Have you always been a Honda man?
Not really, no. It's a bike that I bought because I am a born-again biker. And after all the years of not riding a bike, I decided I'd finally put in for a test, pass the test, and do it legal.
You were asking about Wayne earlier. You watch Two Wheels, don't you?
I love it, I do.
Yeah?
Every time it's on. The old man says I get in, tell you on. 2 Wheels is on, don't move.
Who's this young lady? Is this one of yours?
It's my friend's daughter. That lady down there, she bought her bike tonight.
What's her name?
Chicken Days.
What's her name?
I can't remember.
You've got to come and say hello for the camera.
Say hello.
Thank you. She'll be famous now, you know that. You're going to have to tell your friend that she's going to be famous.
She's going to be on telly now.
The car park's getting a bit quiet now, and the reason is it's a bit of a problem out the front, so there's hordes of people watching the road. And there's a guy going forwards and backwards, and the clutch keeps slipping out of his hand, and the front wheel keeps rising up off the road. He's got a real problem there. So we're obviously all a bit concerned, and we're hoping he gets it fixed soon.
Yes, there's definitely something wrong with these scooters. Well, Sarah will be back with more from the Falcon later in the show. It's biker chat time again, and this week's question is, apart from the bike itself, what's the most expensive biking item you've ever bought?
The most expensive thing really has been helmets and leathers. Basically, you need them. It's a legal requirement. The more you spend, the more quality you get. Panniers for the bike. £500 for 2 panniers.
I think the most expensive thing that I've bought for the bike, well, it was rather for myself, and that was all the protective leather. Last time I rode, I tended to ride in a t-shirt and jeans, and this time I think I've grown up a little bit more, and the leathers are important. Even if I'm sweating like a pig in the middle of summer, the leathers go on.
The clothing is definitely the most expensive thing I've bought. Added up together, it's probably almost as much as the bike cost, to be honest.
This week on Tech Talk, we're going to have a look at head angles and fork angles. See these two? The old Monster, pretty upright forks there. Big Cruiser there, forks are kicked out. Why that difference? What difference does it make? I'll show you. Yes, the dreaded shopping trolley syndrome in miniature. You know the sort of thing? The wheel goes absolutely everywhere, no matter how you push it. That's because this steering head is actually vertical. But you'd think on a motorbike, you tilt the steering head back like that. Now look what happens, as if by magic. That wheel, you can come backwards and forwards, you can go round corners, no problems at all. No good for a shopping trolley because you want to steer that all over the place and between cars and whatnot. But here, on a motorbike, that's what you need, some stability. So let's have a look at it in reality. So let's get down to it, as it were. Happen to have a pair of forks here and a front wheel. Now you just imagine if it was like that shopping trolley and you've got the fork stem absolutely vertical, you try wheeling that along, you can just see what had happened. The wheel goes everywhere, kicks off bumps, you'd be in a right mess. If you cant it back a bit like a bike fork, stability much improved. Cant it right back like that, like a big Cruiser, and it's very difficult to steer round corners. And we know Cruisers are like that, don't we? Only joking. Anyway, let's have a look on a bike, on the old VFR here. There's the frame, there's the headstock there. Now that is the thing that gives you your angle. Typically it's between 23, 27 degrees, and that means an angle from the vertical. So that's how many degrees it's back. With the forks clamped on these yokes top and bottom, they follow exactly the same angle as the headstock. A race bike, you can actually vary that a little bit, but this is a road bike and this is how most of them are, so we've got the same angle there. Now the important thing you're going to get is not only the fork rake or headstock angle, you're actually going to measure trail. Now that's the really important bit. Get a bit of chalk there and this bar. So if I put that there, parallel with the fork leg, that's in line with that head angle, more or less. Comes down to the ground, we'll just put a little line there. And that's where the theoretical centre of the headstock would hit the ground. Then the thing to measure, wheel spindle, centre of the wheel where it touches the ground. So let's put that there, it's pretty well central. That's there. Now that bit there is your trail, and that is the bit that's all important, because the less trail, the steeper the forks, the sharper the steering. The more trail, the less steep the forks, and the more stable the bike is. And so what you need is a nice compromise. So for road bike use, you need something like this VFR, a nice neutral handling bike. A racer on a twisty circuit, forks much steeper, that much narrower, very quick steering. But on the road, if you hit a bump, you get into the old tank slapper, and you wouldn't want one of those.
There you are. How come every time you see me, I'm walking out of a pub door? Do you have a sports bike? Which bike is it?
Yeah, I have the Firestorm.
Whoa, that's a nice bike. So do you go out on track?
No, I don't take it on the track, that
No?
one. It's been down the road once, and my mechanic friend there has just put it all back together for us. So, in fact, it was actually somebody pulled out in front of me only down the road.
Really?
About 3 months ago.
So do you live around here then?
I come from Sutton Coldfield.
And how far is that from here?
About 20 miles, I guess.
Yeah? So it's a good ride to
It's
get
a good
here.
ride out here. You've got to watch the police like to hide around here.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
We
But this is a
haven't
better
seen any
meeting,
today.
I think. The hardcore area for the bikes is better than the Waterman down the road.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I think you get a lot of less interference really as well. So.
Wow, this is excellent. We've got a sidecar.
It's an old man's toy, you see.
An
old man's toy.
That's brilliant. And that's actually a classic Triumph, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's a genuine British Triumph, yes.
Superb.
Which is 1976, it's registered actually.
Uh-huh.
Made in 75. And when my wife saw the Two Fat Ladies cooking programme on television, they had a Triumph bike and a sidecar. So my wife said, well, why don't we get a sidecar for your Triumph? So I've only had that on a few weeks.
And is your wife here?
No,
with
she's
you?
not tonight. No. I brought my friend's wife instead.
Oh, really? Can we have a chat? Come over here and have a talk. My goodness,
Yes,
you
yes.
must have arrived early to get a parking place
That's right.
here that's big enough.
Yeah.
So what was it like in the cycle?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah?
It was better than the sports car, really. It's a bit noisy, but you don't mind about that, really. And it was really nice.
So is this your first visit here?
It is, yes. Yes, yeah. It's quite an experience.
And you're going to come again, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, love it.
Do you think your wife would mind bringing someone else?
No, she wouldn't.
She'd probably be sorry now that she never came.
Yes, imagine, your husband's here as well, of course.
Yes, he's down.
Oh,
we're all good friends, yes.
Absolutely, I'm not putting you on the spot here.
No,
I know
not at all, no.
But as we're in Warwickshire, we can't go away without having a bit of Shakespeare. And Martin has got a gem here. Just listen to this. Remember that we're just outside of Birmingham, aren't we? So here it goes. Go on.
Should it have been Romeo, Romeo, are you coming out or what?
No doubt this party is going to go on well into the evening. As for me, I've got to fly home now and sleep, perchance to dream of my next visit to another biker meeting place. So watch out, it just might be yours.
If you've been paying attention over the last couple of weeks, you'll know that we're trying to put a damaged repairable Honda Blackbird back onto the road. And what we've been doing is we've been looking at the subframe and the front end. So with this subframe, I did say it was a little bit bent. We might have to replace it, or we're going to try and repair it. Well, I think I've been able to repair it. I've put some black paint on it. It looks quite nice. All the grommets are back in. I've clipped the wiring loom back to it. So that looks now ready to accept the top fairing. Whether it's 100% right or not, I don't know until we've actually got the fairing and we can try it on. As you remember, also the front forks were completely bent. We've changed those. What we've done is we've just released the fork tubes from the top and bottom, slid the new fork tubes in. We've also replaced it with the wheel and tyre. That's now ready. Front end finished, should be perfect, hopefully. We replaced the clutch lever. That was bent right out there. That's all done and ready. Also, you can remember there was a few scratches on the side. Well, there's that little sticky pad I was telling you about. Hides everything. Was a little bit of a deep scratch. I didn't want to paint it, but that looks quite nice. We've got rid of 1 or 2 scratches round here. Same on the other side, we've got rid of a few scratches round there. Also, if you can remember, the hanger bracket was broke. We've changed the hanger bracket, we've just replaced all the parts. So that is now ready. Just got to tighten that up, no problems there. Well, I think that's about it. I can't do any more. So what we need to do is refer to the wanted list. Come on with me. And here is that wanted list. As you can see by the red ticks, we've already ticked off quite a few of these pieces here. The seat panel we got as original deal. We also said we were going to try and repair the subframe. We've done that. We've fitted the right hand hanger. That's done. Clutch lever's done. Front wheel's done. Front forks are done. So I think now basically we're going to start going through the rest of the list. We may struggle with this front nose cone. I've got a feeling that every crash bike that we come across will always have damage to the front nose cone. Same with the headlamp, that's going to be a problem. So I think what we need to do now is get on the phone, make a few phone calls and see what we can come up with. I'm looking for a fuel tank for a Honda Blackbird. Yep, a right-hand lower fairing. I'm looking for a front nose cone for a Super Blackbird, 1998. Yeah, right-hand mirror. So what time are you open from on a Sunday? Come on then, answer the bloody phone. No, not the left one, just the right one. Yeah, it's burgundy. Yeah, I need the complete mirror and indicator. Can you save it for me? No, I can't make it before Sunday. What colour is it? What sort of conditions is it in? Can you not do it any cheaper than that? Seems a lot of money. Yeah, okay, that's superb. You will keep them for me. Yeah, I'll definitely be up to get them, don't worry. Okay, cheers now. Bye, bye. We just spent the last 3 hours on the phone. We've managed to locate most of the parts. So join us next week on Two Wheels when we'll be out on the road collecting the bits.
And on Two Wheels next week, Jeff takes a ride on a Harley Fat Boy. There's more tech talk. Wayne and I sample the corporate hospitality behind the scenes at a British Superbike meeting. There's more better bikes from Gary Thomson, and Sara Dee visits another bike meet.